Hello, I'm here today to talk to you about the importance of learning how to use past life as a clinical tool. First of all, what I can tell you is that close to 70% of Brazilians relate to past life. So unless you only want to work with 30% of the population, and that would be kind of foolish, we want to work with everybody. It's an important clinical tool. Now, I know for some of you, you might say, I don't believe in past lives. Well, I don't believe in a lot of what my clients tell me, but I'm not there to believe in what they're telling me. I'm there to facilitate them taking their next step in their life. And as a good therapist, I suspend my own personal beliefs. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, you're a Muslim. Well, I'm Christian. I can't treat you because you believe in a different God. No, they're a human being that's struggling to make something better out of their lives. And I treat people who are Christian, who are Jews, who are Muslims, who are Hindus, who are Zoroastrians, indigenous Mayans who are still worshiping within the Mayan framework. I don't have to believe in it, and I don't have to accept it in my own personal life. But as a good therapist, it's like, oh, you believe in President Trump. Well, I don't, so I can't treat you. No, that is not clinically appropriate. Now, if you're close to that, at least you know that you shouldn't be doing it at all. But what are some of the other benefits of seeing it clinically? Well, one of the benefits is I don't have to validate it. I don't have to say, oh, wow, that really is a past life, and and this happened to you, and so on. What I do know is that it's a metaphor. And I am terrific at sensing, training people to, and evolving multiple metaphors. If they come to me with a metaphor that presents itself as a past life, and that's what it is, it's a metaphor presenting itself as a past life. It could be. How am I ever going to prove that? It may not be. I've had my own personal experiences, and I have my own conclusions only for myself. But the metaphor allows you to open up possibilities for the person in their present life. And that's the core of Erickson's work, to take a perception and give the person an opening for them, because they become their own therapists, to use their resources to make it a perspective. And that's the key to Erickson's work, that you connect to the information and the resources and so on that the person hasn't even become aware of. And one resource is the metaphor they present in a past life, and then help them to connect to or add additional resources so they can use it to heal themselves in their present life. Another thing that's very important and clinically important is that I'm willing to travel with the person as a witness. And we know from so much research that clinically, when you're just open and accepting as to where they are, that they feel that there's somebody who sees what they're experiencing or their struggle, and that starts an inner healing process. And when people present past lives, clinically, it's often telling you the implicit experience they had in their present life. And we know that only the implicit heals. Explicit intellectual information and thoughts give you some way of structuring, and you're going to work with that patient endlessly if they stay with you that long. But when they're feeding you the implicit, which is it's a variation on, they're trying to tell you what their real experience was, and you could connect them indirectly to what does this have, what meaning does this have for you? This is very important clinically. Suddenly, they often tell you how they can resolve it. And they resolve. And we're not looking for a solution. We're looking for a resolution. And resolution comes from the implicit, and past lives are implicit. And these are just a few of the clinical things that you need to be aware of. And clinically, what if a person has a different religious idea? What if a person has a different political idea? I worked with a client who years ago was a communist, and he wanted to overthrow the American government. Now, I could have said, I'm not going to work with that. But instead, I sat with it, and eventually what I said to him is, look, I agree with you. Eventually, there's going to be a revolution here. And you'll probably be on one side of the fence, and I'll be on the other. But that's not relevant to your life now. Let's really look implicitly. What is your present struggle with in these moments? And he didn't stop being a revolutionary, but within a year, what he had done is get a very high-powered job forcing the banks in New York City to make loans to people who came from poor communities, because up to that point, the banks only loaned money to very rich people. So there was no investment in the poor communities, and he got legislation through. So he continued being a revolutionary, metaphorically, in a way that was effective in his life at this time. And overthrowing the government really wasn't the issue. Having the government more for the people is what he evolved. This is the kind of clinical understanding you need with past lives.